let's get right into when we're on offense here. Because we're going on the offensive here, guys. We're doing it. We're putting up some points this week. We are not settling for field goals. I am not going to sit and have Greg Joseph be the player of the week again next week. We appreciate the 5 kicks, but God damn it, someone's got to get a touchdown.
So true.
So real quick, guys, we're going to go over. I know Rob and I our show. We're going to do tomorrow. We'll be live again Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shameless plug. We'll do our parts about the injuries there, but we'll give you guys a quick rundown as well for you guys of what's going on there on offense. So the big one, obvious, Malik Neighbors got the concussion. He's still in the protocol. I'm hearing good things about him, but it's still a concussion. Until they're cleared, you never know. Because it's not the teams that do it, it's the doctors that have to do it. And I always say doctors love the CYA. And if you don't know what that is, I'll get in trouble on YouTube if I say it too often. But the CYA the hell out of themselves at that point. And they're not going to release anybody until they're 100% positive. It's 100% safe. And I actually 100% agree with that because, again, you're talking, you want this guy healthy in the long run. You want him not having any long-term effects the rest of his life, either from playing football as well. So Devin Singletary also popped up on the injury report here with a groin injury. That popped up today, and that's really the first anybody heard about any kind of, major potential concern there for him. But he did not practice today because of that injury. Limited in practice, Wan'Dale Robinson with a heel injury as well. So, usually the heel of our offense is Daniel Jones, but apparently this is the heel that's hurting now is Wan'Dale Robinson's. So we got a couple of big game guys. I mean, let's be honest. Malik Neighbors out of this game. This is a totally different offense. Totally different offense. 100%. Devin Singletary out of this offense. We talked about it. Guy averaged only 1 yard per carry against the Cowboys, but he's still the best veteran, and I should say only veteran, really, running back.
Only veteran.
But I know one thing Rob and I will be happy about if hypothetically he doesn't play, not that we're rooting for him not to play, but if he doesn't play, you know what time it is, Rob?
It's turbo time.
It's turbo time. Get to the chopper.
Yeah.
Get
to the end zone.
Miller been sleeping on the practice squad the whole entire time, and I've been dying to see this kid in an actual NFL game. We're huge fans of him overall. First off, great story. Everything he overcame in his childhood and everything like that. But going on to a major school, getting kind of screwed over by the NCAA. And then, all of a sudden, literally like at his pro day, would have had the best numbers of any running back in this draft if he was actually draftable. Like this kid basically hasn't played football in 2 years. Nobody knows what to expect from him. All I know is he'll probably be better than Eric Gray. That's not saying much, but he'll probably be better than Eric Gray at this point.
Yeah.
We're not Eric Gray fans.
No, me neither.
We put him in the friend zone.
Yes, he needs to be put on the practice squad.
Tracy, though.
Tracy, I like. The only thing with Tracy is I think the big thing is we got to recognize is that he's basically a third down back. He's not going to be in between the tackles back. He may develop into that eventually. But you can't force the guy who's still learning the running back position into doing something he's not prepared to do yet. He's not like the rest of these guys where he's been playing it for, 5 years of Pop Warner, 4 years of high school, 3 years of college, whatever. He's played it for 2 years in college, one to which he didn't really see the field that much. I think we're asking a lot from him. And if he delivers, great on him. But I think people need to recognize where this kid's coming from. He's going to need a lot of work to learn this position. He was still in the process of learning in college. And to put him in a position where he's your number one, number two, I give him credit for handling it like he has. Because that's asking a lot of a guy who's still learning the position, as well as learning the transition from college to the NFL. That's putting a lot on his shoulders. And I think, again, Eric Gray, in my mind, should be gone. Turbo Miller should be there. But at the very least, if Devin Singletary is injured, I think you will see Turbo Miller this game. And I honestly think nothing would shock me with him. He's a guy that I really think he could fall flat in his face. I'm like, he's a rookie, hasn't played in 2 years. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Or he could do really well. I'm like, there we go. And Rob will be doing his Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation the entire game.
Every week. Constantly.
Every single time.
You know about my fantasy football teams?
But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, we want Singletary to play, though. He's the only guy we have at that point that's a veteran, proven running back on this roster. So let's get into, though, the injuries on the Seahawks, which is interesting because I know unless somebody else sees something different, I looked about an hour ago, they still had not released an injury report with the Seahawks. But the big thing with them injury-wise is their defense. So last week, when they got absolutely demolished here by the Lions, defensive tackle Byron Murphy, the second hamstring, out for the game. Leonard Williams, our old friend there, with a rib injury, out for the game. Boye Mafe, knee injury, out for the game. Edge rusher, I'm going to probably mispronounce his name. I apologize ahead of time. I tried to get this one down before the show. It's Uchenna Nasu, knee injury. Linebacker Jerome Baker, hamstring injury. And then Julian Love leaves the first half injured against the Lions and doesn't come back in. So all those guys are questionable. You're talking about 6 players on defense alone that are now questionable for this game. This is completely a different defense potentially than what you had seen going into this. And this defense has done good, but they gave up 42 points to the Lions last week. Jared Goff was 18 of 18. Literally didn't have an incompletion the entire damn game. And almost put up 300 yards against them. So it wasn't like
And
he was
his first receiving touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was
They
3
couldn't
touchdowns.
stop the run.
He was a good fantasy guy to have. That's for damn sure. They couldn't stop anything.
Yeah.
No.
They could not stop anything. And that's the problem going into this game is that what Seahawk defense will you see? Because if they're healthy, they're not a bad defense. As I said, their new head coach is a defensive coach at that point who has a lot of respect in the league for what he does. It's a matter of how many these guys will go. So as we're recording this here Wednesday night, we don't have the information to know that yet. So, we got to kind of keep an eye on the injury report as the week goes. And I'll never say I hope bad for players because it's their body. You want them healthy. But if they want to give it an extra week to heal up fully, I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta think about your health first.
Exactly. Think about your kids. Think about the kids. Someone think of the children.
The children out there.
But again, though, they've been about an average defense overall. They're averaging 21.3 points a game. They're giving up overall. But they've been a very efficient defense. They're allowing only 28.9% conversion on third downs. That's 4th best in the NFL. They're 25% conversion rate on 4th downs. That's 2nd best. But they've also been high in the red zone. They're actually high average, I guess you'd say. 53.3%. So that's 15th overall. Mm-hmm. So it's been kind of a bend but don't break kind of system at that point. It's kind of what they have in place at that point, where they're getting themselves in favorable position for third downs. If they are giving up a big play, they're limiting it down to a field goal. And that's signs of a well-coached team, guys. Absolutely a well-coached team. That's the kind of stats that you can go, okay, whoever's doing the scheme is doing something right at that point. And as much as we love to give credit to the players, I think that's what it shows is that McDonald's is having an impact on this team overall and how this defense is being run, especially compared to last year when they had a lot of big names, had a couple of really bad games and some bad performances as a result.
Yeah. Sam, you and I talked about Leonard Williams last season and us missing him in the run defense. And I think what's key for the Giants is establishing that run, getting the duo pushes, right, with Runyon and Schmitz up front, Runyon and Andrew Thomas, right? You want to get those guys. And Singletary banged up. We don't know if he's going to play. I'm not too concerned yet. It's only Wednesday, but Sam, I definitely miss Leonard Williams. And I really, really hope that he does not play for our sake because we couldn't establish a run against Dallas's weak front last week, and Seattle's front is much stronger. The teeth of their defense is solid, especially with Terrell Dotson and Tyrus Knight, too, as their starting linebackers. So Leonard Williams is a tough cookie to crack.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, Devin Singletary is basically like our best bet here. And so if he doesn't play, I mean, I'm sure Tracy can get the job done, or Turbo Miller if he comes up to
Turbo time.
Yeah, Turbo.
The active roster.
You can say
We
it.
have to do it every time. I'm sorry. We have to do it every time.
Yeah.
I respect that. That's totally fine. But yeah, I was so dead set on the fact that Devin Singletary was going to run all over the Cowboys defense last week. And the fact that it just didn't happen does not make me feel good. I mean, he completely messed up my parlay. It was just not good. I was like expecting him to run at least 60 yards and it just didn't happen.
Parfait.
Yeah. You got me all excited.
I love a parfait.
But yeah, that does sound nice actually.
Doesn't
But
it?
yeah. I just
McDonald's, we said parfait. Next thing you know.
Oh gosh, made me hungry. But yeah, I definitely think running is going to be a huge part of this game, especially if the defense on Seattle side is so messed up. But then we have to also think about, okay, well, if we don't have a good run game, then we have to throw the ball. And it's like, then who are we throwing to? All right, Wandale Robinson. I'm sure he's going to play even despite the heel. Don't know. I think we need to put Jalen Hyatt on a freaking milk carton because haven't seen him around. It's like, if we're going to be at least putting points on the board, I'm not saying that we're going to win this game because I just don't really think it's possible. But like, we have to have guys down the field. And like, what about, like, I saw some people in the comments talking about it. What about our tight end presence? Like, we're just not even utilizing that at all. And I think I'm a huge Daniel Bellinger girl. I love Daniel Bellinger. I think he could be a huge asset to this team. And we are just not utilizing him the correct way. So if the run is
2 years
not
in a row, I'm curious what's going on behind the scenes at Bellinger. I feel like something behind the scenes that we don't know about is going on there. And
maybe.
this is one of those scenarios that, as fans, we want to know everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of got to give it to the organization for the fact that it hasn't leaked out yet. Because something is going on. Same as you mentioned Hyatt, something's going on there as well. Because they gave Hyatt every opportunity to beat Slayton in the season before it started. They wanted him to. Hyatt's their guy. Slayton is not. Slayton's probably not the long-term plans. They want Hyatt in the long-term plans. They did everything they could for him to beat him out, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know about Belly. I can see him having a better year. Now that Waller's not over there, and everyone's trying to throw it to Waller, and that he was supposed to be our number one weapon in the receiving. I think that took away from Bellinger's play. He's still been blocking when he's in, but he also hasn't had
any holding calls.
Yeah, touche.
That was brutal.
Yeah, he's had a lot of them the last couple of years now.
Right,
and he's third on our depth chart, really, at tight end. At least you look at snap count wise. I don't know where they have him officially on the roster here, but if you look at snap count, Manhurst is beating him out for snaps at this point. It's almost like you're almost shocked to see him on the field at this point. It's not to the level of Hyatt, obviously, but it's definitely noticeable that he's not on as often as you'd expect.
Yeah, there's a lot of 12 personnel with Theo Johnson and Chris Manhurst. And Theo Johnson, I think eventually, as we get closer to the middle part of the season, within the next month or so, you're going to see him get more targets offensively. He's been learning the playbook. Tight ends coach Tim Kelly coming over from the Titans. I think he's going to be a huge part of this offense. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this. If Neighbors doesn't play, he might be the second option. Because you're looking at Wandale. They'll throw here and there to Tracy. If Singletary doesn't play, then you're looking at really Theo Johnson. I don't trust Slayton to make too many plays. I don't trust him to be a 5-catch-a-game guy anymore. I'm not saying he's bad, but that's just the reality where it is right now. And then Hyatt doesn't touch the field. So who's next? It's really Theo Johnson. And you could pick apart that middle of the field. Theo Johnson, Olin Tyrese Knight in the Senior Bowl. His average depth of target at Penn State was incredible. So that's one player. As we're talking about the Giants, how are they going to win this game? Play action, bootlegs, get him in open space. He can make people miss. He is, in my personal opinion, he catches the ball better than Evan Ingram did when he was here. From what I've seen so far in training camp, in practice, you haven't seen it in the games yet. And I really want to see it.
He actually catches it.
Yes.
Doesn't drop it.
Yeah.
We also got to check the rock a little bit better.
We got to check a little farther too, but we'll get into that part of there. But yeah. I mean, we'll have to see what happens because there's a lot of injuries here to both important people on our side on offense and their side on defense. And like we said, it's like you have to keep an eye and kind of. And I don't like to do this on a regular basis, but this is one of those games you have to kind of stalk this injury report if you're going to put money in this game, especially because who's going to be healthy and who's not going to be healthy is going to determine a lot of what happens in this game potentially at that point. Because if the Lions can put up 42 points against this team, there's no reason I think we can't put up 25. And if the defense has a good game, a couple of things go right our way. You never know what's going to happen there at that point. So, we mentioned the run defense. So run-wise there, the Seahawks are giving up 4.3 yards per carry. That's 14th best in the NFL. 116.3 yards per game. That's 14th as well. So they're basically an average run defense. So we really do need to get it going. I'm tired of the excuses. This run game has to get it going. And when we made the pitiful Dallas Cowboy run defense, which is one of the worst in the league, we made them look really good. Really good. And that's got to stop. Something's got to be figured out with that because there's too much talent on this team to do that. Devin Singletary is an established running back in this league. We talked about it before. We got a talented offensive line now, which sounds weird to say still as a Giants fan, but we have a very talented offensive line here. We got to get this going. We got to get this figured out because you got to take the pressure off Daniel Jones, who quite frankly can't handle it. He's not good enough to carry a team. Again, we'll get hit for that later on in the comment section, I'm sure, because the Daniel Jones people love to attack me for it when I say stuff like that. I root for the kid like you wouldn't believe. He's a Giant. I want this guy to throw 400 yards on Sunday and get 5 touchdowns. I want that. I also want.
Are you playing Madden?
I also want a pony in a brand new beach house. And just realistic things here, people. Realistic things. That's where we're at here. So I just want him to have a little more support around him from the run game. So he has a better chance to succeed. Now, the strength of this team, though, really for the Seahawks, though, on defense has been the pass defense. They're allowing just 6.4 yards per catch there. That's 9th best in the NFL. They're allowing 167.5 yards per game, which is 7th best in the NFL as well. And they're sacking quarterbacks on 10.5% of passing down, with the 6th best. That being said, they're also allowing 66.7 completion percentage, that's 19th best. And they're averaging and getting interceptions just 1.7% of passing plays, 17th best as well. So what that tells you is they're allowing catches. What they're doing is they're kind of in almost like that mini prevent style where they're going to let you get the short stuff and they're going to stop you from getting the long stuff. And to me, guys, that plays into our strength because we can't throw the ball past 10, 15 yards anyway as it is. Let's be honest. Anytime Daniel Jones attempts to, he's off. He just doesn't have that. I don't know if it's a neck injury. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. It's a whole different conversation. But the numbers tell you that. He's 2 of 13, I think, on the year right now, over 20 yards.
Correct. Yep.
And every time he does it, the guy's open. I'm not saying he's wide open, 10 yards of freedom there, but he's got a couple of steps in the guy, and it's just overthrown or underthrown or whatever the case may be. I mean, you all remember was the last week or the week before where Neighbors ripped the one ball from the defender at that point that only saved the interception. That was one of those classic examples. It was underthrown, and Neighbors had to come back for it. And luckily, he had the hand strength to do it. But this plays into what we do. We do short passes. We hope for some yak yards at that point, from guys like Neighbors, guys like Wandell. And I think it actually, weirdly enough, weird to say that, I think our passing offense can actually do a little damage to this team just based on how we play the ball. Because if that's what they're doing, you're playing into the hands of what we want to do anyway. If you're going to give me a 5-yard gain, I'm going to take that all day long and use my passing game almost like a run game and hope we can get some yak yards and break something 1 or 2 times during the game at that point and have a big play that year. Because we have a better chance of Neighbors or Robinson doing that than we do Daniel Jones throwing a 30-yard bomb down the field. No disrespect to him, it's the truth.
I mean, what's Wandell known for? Getting that yak.
Yakety yak.
So, oh, please get that touchdown back.
High volume. A lot of high volume with him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We said it going into this year, we thought he was a 100-catch guy all year long. And at this point, he may be get the record for the least yards with 100 catches in a season. I feel like he's going to be 100 catches, 800 yards the way things are going, which is insane to think about.
7 to 50. Yeah,
like that. But that's, I mean, Rob knows I love doing the math. I can do the math and find out what he's up to here at this point here. But I mean, that's the kind of thing you're looking at with him. But that kind of game plays into what the Seahawks are giving up this year. So if that's what they're going to give up, take it. That's what we do best anyway, is those short passes. That's right. What we have done. So, I'm kind of curious to see what this offense can do. And if you can get a high percentage volume kind of thing like that, then you can get down the field and you can score some plays. And maybe this is a game that gets a little confidence for DJ, because he needs confidence, regardless of the injuries affecting him or whatever. He needs confidence because he's looking over his shoulder, knowing that if we keep losing, he's eventually going to get benched to prevent injury, cause issues, and he's not going to see the field ever again. Not with the Giants, at least.
Yeah, and there's also another game like we were saying before with the tight ends getting in their slant plays. Wandell, a lot of slants, a lot of play action. Got to set that bad boy up, especially if you don't have
Wandell's on pace for 111 catches is what he's on pace for right now. And if the season ended, he'd be at 825 yards. That's what it would be at the pace he's at currently in 17 games. Like I said, that's got to be a record. I can look that up real quick, but it's got to be a record.
As he looks it up.
Yeah, my buddy Brian just said Daniel Jones only 2 400-plus yard passing games in his career. And my friend Brian is a Bucs fan. He from Clearwater. This is the guy from Clearwater, Drew, like you.
There we go, Clearwater.
One of them against the Bucs, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, we might be waiting a while for it because he doesn't take shots down the field. And when he does, it's overthrows, right? And it's painful to watch
like
as a Giant.
Austin Eckler, 6.7 yards per pass, or per catch is what the NFL record is there. Not giving me yards when I search it. 6.7. Wandell's actually at 7.5 right now. So he's actually not the record right now.
Wow.
He'll be well above that.
I hope so.
I think at least. I don't know. It's one of those things where can they give him time? And if they give him time, he'll get more yardage. He'll get more time to get open, route separation, etc.
Yeah. I think he gets the time. I honestly think it's just a throw. I think that's 100% the issue. I mean, you see it all the time. He throws the ball down the field and he's off. And again, I'm not trying to add fuel to the fire of the Daniel Jones haters. I want him to figure it out and fix it. I really do. But I don't know.
I talked about this.
I think it's got to be his neck. Remember?
Well, he changed his mechanics in the throw. He used to have that white stance, and he used to throw it down the field, across everything, across his chest. Now he's more of a square stance, more of a power stance in boxing, if you will, and he's kind of throwing it just straight down. And I think that's messing with his. Well, obviously, he's messing with his mechanics. But it was supposed to help him be better planted to help his knee and help his neck injuries.
Because he hurt his hip to be square.
Yeah. It's connected to the knee bone.
So let's give you guys some of the big names here you guys are going to hear during this game here on the defensive side. So Derek Hall, 4 sacks in the season from the linebacker position, along with Boye Mafe, one of the guys we talked about that's injured right now, and we don't know if he's going to play, but he's got 3. Cornerbacks, they got a pair of really good corners, guys, that are high. One of them's a high pick, one of them's a late pick that panned out pretty early on in his career. Devin Witherspoon, who's got a 73.3 PFF grade so far in the season, and Tariq Woolen, who's got a 76.4 PFF grade. Witherspoon, I've said forever, this is a guy to keep an eye on. He's a guy who started very late in high school playing football, had never played that before. He's still learning. He's going to be a really good player before it's all said and done. I still think he's actually in the development stage. Tyrell Dodson leads the team with 33 tackles. And, of course, you got a trio of ex-Giants on the defensive side of the ball as well. Again, we said we might not see some of these guys because of injuries, but Julian Love, Leonard Williams, and our old pal Jonathan Hankins, who played with the New York Giants back in the 1970s. It feels like at this point, it feels like so long ago. We drafted him like 2011 was we drafted him, I think. I want to say it was. Off
2013.
Oh, 13, yeah. Ohio State second-round pick, if I remember right.
Guy.
But, yeah, good player. Was one of that string of really good tackles we kept on drafting but not re-signing for some reason. A guy like Linval Joseph comes to mind, obviously, that kind of same kind of mold at that point there. And he's had a nice long career. Again, he's still playing, 11 years after he's drafted. That's way beyond the average at that point there. So
if you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.